Welcome back to the Sharing English podcast, where we explore stories from the English-speaking world, spoken slowly and clearly for curious English learners like you. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's your host, Freya. Even if you've never read the original books about the character we're going to talk about today, there's a good chance you might recognize a certain yellow bear in a red shirt who loves honey. Did you guess? We're talking about Winnie-the-Pooh. Winnie-the-Pooh is one of the most famous and beloved children's characters in the English-speaking world. Generations of children have grown up with Pooh, Piglet, Tigger, and Eeyore. But many people only know the modern Disney version of these characters. Fewer people know the surprisingly sweet and emotional real story behind them. Today, we're going to explore where Winnie-the-Pooh came from, the real child who inspired the stories, how Disney helped turn Pooh into a global icon, and why these gentle stories still connect with people nearly 100 years later. Our story begins in England in the 1920s with a writer named Alan Alexander, or A.A. Milne. Milne had a young son named Christopher Robin, and like many children, Christopher Robin had a collection of stuffed animals. Those toys became the inspiration for the characters we know today. The real stuffed bear became Winnie-the-Pooh. Other toys inspired Piglet, Eeyore, Tigger, Kanga, and Roo. In fact, the original toys still exist today and are displayed in New York Public Library. Definitely one of my favorite things that I have ever seen in New York City. The name Winnie came from a real bear that Christopher Robin liked to visit at the London Zoo. That bear was named after the Canadian city of Winnipeg and was often called Winnie for short. The Pooh part of the name may have come from a swan that Christopher Robin once named Pooh. And somehow, those two names came together to create Winnie-the-Pooh. The stories take place in a peaceful fictional forest called the 100-Acre Wood. This setting was inspired by Ashdown Forest in southern England, where the Milne family spent time walking and exploring. If you've ever read the books or even watched the adaptations, you may notice how calm and gentle the world feels. There are no giant battles or dramatic villains. Instead, the stories focus on small adventures, finding honey, visiting friends, getting lost, or helping someone who feels sad. That quiet, cozy atmosphere is part of what people continue to love about the stories. A.A. Milne published the first Pooh stories in the 1920s. The books were written for children, but many adults also connected with them. Part of that comes from the tone. The stories are funny and imaginative, but they're also thoughtful. The characters have recognizable personalities and emotions. Pooh is kind and simple. Piglet is nervous, but loyal and brave. Eeyore is pessimistic and gloomy. Tigger is energetic and confident. Rabbit likes organization and rules. And Owl thinks he's wiser than maybe he actually is. Even today, people often recognize themselves, or people they know, in these characters. One reason Winnie-the-Pooh continues to appear online and in popular culture is because the stories contain many simple but meaningful observations about friendship and life. Some quotes are funny, while others are surprisingly emotional. One of the most famous is, "How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard." And another popular line is, "You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." Whether people read the original books as children or discovered these quotes later in life, many can find something comforting in Pooh's world. Of course, for many people around the world, the version of Pooh they know best comes from the Walt Disney Company. Disney began adapting the Pooh stories in the 1960s. Over time, Disney's version became incredibly popular internationally. I bet there's a version of Winnie-the-Pooh in your language. This version of Pooh is a little brighter, more musical, and more energetic than the original books. And yes, the famous red shirt became strongly associated with Pooh through Disney's adaptations. For many children today, Disney's Pooh is their first introduction to the character. There's also a more complicated side to the story. As the real little boy, Christopher Robin Milne, grew older, he struggled with the fame connected to the books. People associated him so strongly with the fictional version of Christopher Robin that it affected parts of his personal life. Later in life, he spoke openly about the mixed feelings he had about growing up connected to such famous stories. I think this part of the story is important too. It reminds us that behind beloved books and characters are often real people with complicated experiences. So why do these stories still connect and still matter almost 100 years later? Part of the answer is their simplicity. The stories are gentle. They focus on friendship, imagination, kindness, and emotional honesty. In a world that often feels fast and noisy, Pooh's world feels calm. And sometimes people need that. So let's look at a few useful words from today's episode. Stuffed animal or stuffy or teddy bear are all names for a soft toy animal. Cozy means comfortable, warm, relaxing. Woodland, a forested, natural area. Thoughtful, showing careful consideration or emotion. And a quick pronunciation note. The donkey character name Eeyore is usually pronounced Eeyore. Eeyore. That can definitely look confusing if you only see it written in English. Winnie-the-Pooh began as stories inspired by a child and his toys. But over time, those stories became something larger, a shared part of childhood for millions of people around the world. And maybe that's why Pooh continues to last. The stories remind us that kindness, friendship, and simple moments still matter. But now, I'm curious. If you grew up reading or watching Winnie-the-Pooh, which character was your favorite? And do you relate to its personality traits? My favorite was Piglet, and thinking back, it makes a lot of sense. I was often a bit of a scaredy cat, as we say in English, but I'm also known for doing big, brave things that might surprise people. I can't wait to hear about yours. Thanks for listening to the Sharing English podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a rating or review, and share the podcast with a friend who's also learning English. You can find out more about me and the podcast at our website, www.sharing-english.com. New episodes of the Sharing English podcast are available weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, let me know, what topics are you interested in hearing more about? Until next time, Keep listening, keep learning, and keep sharing English.